Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're taking a look at the Longrow 14-year-old. I believe 2005 vintage, Dustin?
Yes, sir. We're going way back.
46% ABV.
Nearly 20-year-old release.
Yeah, no, it's an old one. You've had this for a while, though, haven't you?
Been a while, yeah. I mean, I picked this up from a website a little off the beaten path a couple years ago. Let me tell you, they know what they have when they sell stuff, so don't expect super prices, but they were very fair on this when I bought it, because I did buy it before the Springbank market insanity. So I got this for a pretty good price. I want to say maybe $150 for this one, Mike. Obviously, knew it would have been far less, but
we deal with what we got.
yeah. So we're going back into like early days of Springbank bringing back the Longrow brand on this one. This would probably be kind of early on.
Yeah, 1991 vintage or something
Yeah,
like that.
because I mean, they don't have a lot of old stock of Longrow. My understanding is they dropped it for a number of years. This is going to be fairly like just getting back to it. And let me tell you, this smells like old Springbank and Longrow sherry casks. And I don't know if it's a good or bad way, but it's very much a distinct, different note that we get today.
Yeah, so it's like that normal funk and grittiness and smoky earthiness that I get from Longrow, but it has a fruity character to it. I don't want to say tropical fruit, but it's almost pushing that.
I think tropical, barbecue notes.
Yes.
Like a vinegar barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
And
Some Carolina vinegar.
Yeah.
Actually, Carolina vinegar is a pretty good call. And a little bit of tire, a little bit of burnt rubber.
Yeah, I mean, a note I've gotten on some of those sherry casks was kind of like almost like a baby diaper kind of thing. I don't get that here, which is a good thing, because I have gotten that note a few times in some of the older ones where, like, when they said Springbank funk when I first got into Springbank, man, they were not joking about funk.
I mean, I am getting a little bit of tire rubber here, but it's not, anything overly unpleasant.
I'm not getting tire rubber at all, man. There's sulfur. But this is more Craig Alecky sulfur than it is... I mean, there could be a little bit of a matchstick note here.
I see more of a rubbery sulfur, but this is one small compliment to it. What's really the interesting part of this compared to modern Longrows is the tropical fruit notes.
Yeah, I'm actually really digging that. And I hadn't really I'd noticed it before, but I never really thought about it.
There's a meaty characteristic to that light sulfur too.
Yeah, it's yet at the same time it's kind of a thin nose. I mean, it's not.
Sulfur notes more of like charcoal than sulfur to me, because when you were talking about barbecue earlier, there's some type of charcoal.
There is a charcoal note, but when you make when you charcoal grill, you use matchsticks to light that too. So maybe that's where the little subtle sulfur notes there.
It's all there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the rubber now that I think about it, but it's not like tire rubber to me. It's, I don't know, it's something else. Eraser rubber, like you've just went way too hard on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, a little of that maybe. Light mint coming through and light vanilla. Hints of honey. Slight hints of toasted oak. Comes off a little bit older on the oak than 14.
Man, on the mid-palate and the finish, there's a smoke to this and a sooty grittiness to the smoke that reminds me of, dare I say, a Lagavulin. But I digress. At first, a little bit of those tropical fruits, and then it moves into that, but here at the end on the finish, nice subtle smoke, a little bit of maybe smoked pineapple on the end. It's almost like you're sitting by a bonfire near a beach.
I was going to almost say Lecheg peat.
Something peat. Something sooty peat.
Very aggressive.
Chimney smoke.
Not your traditional clean Port Ellen style peat. Very, very sooty. Very sooty. Dirty.
I like it.
Up front, it's actually a little too thin for me when you're getting those tropical notes. I wish it was a little oilier, a little more viscous up front. But then when the smoke hits, the barrel char comes in, it actually leaves you with a really nice experience. Gives you enough mouthfeel, enough body. For a 46%er, it's actually It starts off too light. It almost comes off initially like a 42, 43%er, and then it finishes like a 48.
I tell you what, it reminds me, the tropical fruit note kind of reminds me of that 2014 Lafroig 25 cask strength that we recently had.
Ooh, okay.
Did I tell you what? Some guy put those up for auction.
That's not a bad note, actually.
The 14 and the 13 both for 11.
Ooh.
Guess who snagged it?
Did you buy them?
No.
Oh.
Guess who bought it if I didn't buy it?
Oh, Dan.
Yep.
Cheers, Dan.
Yeah. Got me again. I saw him like, oh, like, am I reading this right? Like, I'll take that. And I see Dan buy now, both. I was just like, God darn it, Dan.
I literally went instantly to Dan or Mike, which one got it first. And I was like, wait a minute, you didn't send me a text. You couldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, I sent him a message. I'm like, nice grab. He was like, yeah, I didn't want to say nothing, but face. He says to me that he wants the Lafroig 25 and all of its incarnations and all the years to be his daily drink. And I'm telling you what, I think he's getting there.
He has sent me some photos of some purchases where if he's done that with other vintages, life's good for him.
Yes,
By the way, Dan, if you want, send us a vertical blind or something, we can do a live stream.
He's actually sending me something. We talked about this week.
Oh, he's a very generous guy. But like I said, Dan, a blind vertical for us to go in and not knowing, be a fun video.
It would be fun. He's one of my favorite guys in the whiskey community. Anyway, all right, let's get back to this one. So we put a little bit of water into it.
It's actually fruitier now, a little bolder.
I agree. Man, it really does. It's like a dirty Lafroig 25 2014 on the nose. It's
a sweeter malt, and it's a more complex malt.
I didn't even throw in complex. God,
in terms of the sweetness, it's a more complex sweetness.
Okay.
Whereas the Lafroig, the back end's more complex. If that makes sense. Where the peat comes in.
It's a silver spirit. I get you. And you're not wrong.
I mean, there's something. There's three types of fruits here that I just can't separate them. Like they're interesting, and then they've got some spice on them.
Yeah, that's just one pillar of this whiskey, and the other pillar is just this sooty smoke.
The sooty smoke is definitely similar to that Lafroig, but it doesn't have that peated depth on as you're kind of going back into it at the same level. Whereas that Lafroig is way more depth there.
See, this is a good job of showing a dirty, earthy, sooty smoke or anything that's that style, and still good fruits that it doesn't contaminate.
Yeah.
Like that Longrow Red Tawny.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah, those fruits contaminated the rest of everything else. You need to section things off.
So I'll be honest with you, Mike.
It's about parameters. Dustin.
Obviously, as you can see,
parameters.
Had this.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I agree.
You don't go further than here.
Yeah. So this is a 770 CL. As you can see, I've had this. I think I've shared a pour or two with you, maybe Keith, maybe one other person. This is coming off way more delectable than I remembered.
Delectable and delicious.
And it's because I'm really appreciating that sootiness and the ashiness that's coming through here. Whereas in the past, I kind of took that into maybe thinking that it was a funk and weirdness in the fruit instead of appreciating it as a extra depth of the peat that I don't think we get today in the current Longrow iterations.
This is an orchard meat survivor. You're on the edge of an island. You got the fire going, right? It's good fire. It's going to be all up in your clothes the next day. You can't escape it. It smell like wood chips. But delicious, full, ripe fruits. You're going to have a lot of sugar. Mm-hmm. And a lot of laundry to do the next day.
Sorry, I'm drinking whiskey. I lost track of everything you said.
It's all right. It's on camera.
It actually reminds me a lot of the Longrow 21s that we have coming out now. Yeah, I'm getting some nice notes on the finish with water, especially. It's really reminding me of that 21. Definitely prefer this one without the water, but I can't say the water hurt it. It gave it another element.
There's a zesty orange on the linger now.
Yeah, that's what makes this different than a Lafroig in a lot of ways, is that orange, I think. Because it's got the lemon lime a little bit too.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But it's got that orange, which is just a whole different thing.
And the sootiness like Lagavulin.
More zest.
Very, very zesty.
I think this has way more complexity and flavor when it first hits the front of your tongue. Mm-hmm. The finish, it's nowhere close to the 25-year-old Lafroigs, obviously, because it's 14 years old.
Yeah, other elements are taking over at that point. Plus, it's 46% ABV. It's not cask strength.
Yeah.
But overall, incredible experience.
Impressive.
All right, so overall whiskey score on this one, Dustin, as opposed to not overall whiskey score. I'm an 88 over 100. My enjoyment of the whiskey is higher than 88, but it's an 88. 46%. Thoughts?
Well, you just changed my score.
Yeah.
So I was going to give it a 90.
Oh. Don't let me change your mind.
Well, and here's what. Now, well, you made a point that I need to address, which was enjoyment versus score. And I was going to give it my enjoyment score, which is a 90. But you're right, it's not a 90. So I'm going to bring it back to the 89.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it's a touch watery, despite the fact that it has these wonderful flavors. I think that sootiness is going to be off-putting to a lot of consumers because I think it's over the top. However, I'm really digging it.
Love it.
But I think, if you're a whiskey consumer who really wants to get into like these higher end, Springbanks and stuff, and you're just now getting into it, I know these are hard to get, but you can still, I think, find some of the Longrow stuff from this era. You're SOL if you want Springbank from this era. But Longrows can somewhat still be found. Your price is going to be probably double what I paid, maybe triple.
It's a fun experience.
But
you could do worse.
I think it's worth buying one and maybe splitting it with a couple friends.
You could do worse.
You absolutely could, because this is a different experience from Longrow, and this really lets you see why this distillery has become such a legendary distillery. Because these are flavors that no one else is putting out.
I love the sootiness in this one. Love it. It's almost like smelling nitrous if you're a car fan.
That sootiness and the orange note. And they work together well.
It does. All right, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. Until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy, dare I say, dusty drinking?
Next time.